Well, now let's return to our main report tonight. Cuts at Britain's biggest care home provider, Southern Cross, has said that the loss of 3,000 jobs will not lead to care homes closing or the quality of the care they offer deteriorating. But a Channel 4 News investigation into the beleaguered care home company has uncovered alarming evidence about the care some residents have been receiving. Katie Razzle has this exclusive report. But a warning, you may find some of the images in her report distressing.
Ruby Puli and Dorothy White, two pensioners entrusted to the protection of Britain's largest care home provider. But what happened to this frail pair perhaps gives an insight into what's gone wrong at Southern Cross and the terrible impact it's having on some of our most vulnerable old people.
This is obviously not very nice, having to go through many of my nan's possessions.
Ruby Puli's grandson Gary thought she'd be safe when she was moved into a Southern Cross care home. The family had decided Mrs Puli should go into Briar House in Kings Lynn after the independent active pensioner started behaving differently. She was eventually diagnosed with dementia.
She did become, quite bad, to the extent where she was knocking on neighbours' doors, asking for her mother, who'd obviously died some years previous.
At first they were happy with the care she received. But towards the end of her life, Mrs Puli was attacked twice in the care home by fellow residents. The last attack took place in January this year. By this stage, she was in very fragile health. She was hit over the head with a metal object. A pillow was also placed over her face. The attack put her in hospital.
She was obviously very distressed, very bruised. It had a noticeable effect on her. From that moment, really, she never recovered.
Mrs Puli died 7 days later. The cause, pneumonia and dementia. Doctors and the coroner concluded her death was unrelated to the attack, but her family feels she should have been better protected.
To know that another resident had taken advantage or got to the point where, she went into my nan's room and assaulted her was quite difficult to take. But then to see my nan in the state that she was after that was difficult for everybody, really.
We've been investigating this incident further. We've found that the person who hit Ruby Puli had already attacked 2 other residents. She was a dementia sufferer in her 80s. We discovered the first time this woman attacked a fellow resident was in August 2010. There was a second incident in December when a 90-year-old resident had pillows placed over her face. 4 weeks after that, the same woman attacked Ruby Puli, and only after that third and final attack was the woman moved into a more secure home. Both Southern Cross and the local authority insist proper safeguards and procedures were followed. This wasn't the first time Briar House has had problems. We've seen previous inspections reports by the care home regulator, the Care Quality Commission, or CQC. In April 2010, it criticised staffing levels, saying the home does not always have a full complement of competent trained staff. The regulator also flagged up that only 29% of staff have attended the challenging behaviour training, helpful for dealing with people who have dementia. Since then, the company insists there have been substantial improvements. I travelled to Kings Lynn to meet a former senior member of Briar House staff on condition of anonymity. She worked there before the attacks, but could she shed light on how they might have happened? She told us that during her time there, some of the staff weren't up to the job. She says she felt they should have been dismissed, but that Southern Cross's financial problems meant she couldn't sack them.
I wasn't allowed to do that because I wasn't allowed to get agency staff in the interim to cover.
Why weren't you allowed to employ agency staff?
Because of finances.
Were there any other ways that finance affected care?
My operations manager wanted me to fill the home and fill it quickly. To add another 10 clients into that not only puts extra pressure on the staff, but it also changes the dynamic with the residents and can sometimes cause changes in behaviour. And the staff were barely coping with behaviour as it was.
Last week, the chairman of Southern Cross was forced into the media spotlight to defend the company. This as it emerged the firm could no longer afford the full rents on its care homes.
We have been determined through recent times, and we will remain determined, that the delivery of care at our homes will be unaffected by all that's happening at a corporate level.
So is the chairman right that financial problems haven't had an impact on quality of care in Southern Cross's 750 homes? Well, we've been shown the latest inspection reports by the regulator. It's the first time this data has been analysed by anyone outside the CQC. It shows problems in half the Southern Cross homes surveyed. In the 6 months to April this year, the regulator had reviewed 49 homes and found concerns in 26. 19 reviews questioned staffing levels and 16 raised concerns about whether residents were protected from abuse. We've also seen other research which shows that last year a third of Southern Cross homes, that's 265, did not have permanent registered managers. Having a permanent manager is a legal requirement for a care home. The regulator told us it issued a warning to Southern Cross last year, telling the company it must address the lack of managers. Tonight, Southern Cross told Channel 4 News delays at the regulator's end were slowing the process of appointing permanent managers. With the issues of managers in mind, I travelled to County Durham and found another family with a distressing story. When Dorothy White began to suffer from Alzheimer's, she moved into Rose Lodge Care Home near Southern Cross headquarters in Darlington. Mrs. White had a series of falls at the home. The first, in July 2010, happened during the night. She broke her arm, but staff didn't notice.
The day shift came on, the girl saw it straight away and called a paramedic. And he was amazed how bad it was, the broken arm. It was so bad, the paramedic said it nearly came through the flesh. It was a real bad break. So there was no way the night shift could have missed it.
7 months later, in February this year, Dorothy had another fall, again at night.
It was horrendous. Even though we were warned it was going to be a shock, it was really bad, really, really bad. So I just went out, calmed myself down, come back in and just sat with her.
But it wasn't just the falls that concerned Arthur and his family. They were also worried there weren't enough staff on duty at Rose Lodge. Sometimes, he says, he'd arrive at the home and find just 1 or 2 people on duty to care for 10 or 12 dementia sufferers. What were the situations that you witnessed?
There was only one carer on, and the resident got up and picked a vase up and went to, well, he was going to hit someone. He didn't get near them. So I went over and calmed him down. And goodness knows what would have happened if I hadn't been there.
The concerns of Arthur and his family led to criticism of the home by inspectors from the CQC. Staffing levels at Rose Lodge have now improved, and steps have been taken to ensure Dorothy and her family are happy with her care. But what now for the 31,000 residents in Southern Cross homes? With the company's future in question, the government has drawn up contingency plans in case the firm goes to the wall. We raised our concerns with Southern Cross. They said,
"The company deeply regrets any incidents where its residents have not received optimum care and learns from any such events. Over the last 18 months, new management has introduced improved monitoring and training systems and increased investment across all its homes, such that its care standards have improved along with its care quality ratings. A group HR function and a directorate of care has been established in the last 12 months to ensure that the continuity of quality care for all residents is prioritised as the focus of the business. The current financial restructuring has not and will not affect this commitment, as recent care quality ratings demonstrate."
Southern Cross today announced 3,000 job cuts, the latest example of the financial squeeze this company is experiencing. But our analysis of the regulator's data shows that lack of staff is one of the problems Southern Cross already faces. For Ruby Puli, any changes come too late. Her family still mourning her death. Dorothy White still lives, though, in a much improved Rose Lodge. But both were let down, so their families, by a level of care they didn't deserve.
That exclusive report from Katie Razzle.